And then tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll talk about volume of three-dimensional figures. And then Thursday and Friday, we'll talk about surface area. And that's kind of all we're covering with 3D figures. So we're going to start with just reviewing what a three-dimensional figure is. Okay, three-dimensional means it has 3 dimensions, kind of the length, the width, the height. Okay, and we need to talk a little bit about the different pieces of a three-dimensional figure. So when we talk 3D, let's go with this. Three-dimensional figures have faces. Okay, and a face is just these flat surfaces. So when we're talking about the faces of the figure, that's all the flat surfaces. Okay, they have edges. Edges are where they meet, where the surfaces meet. So these are all the edges. The vertex is the points. Those are like your corners. And then the base. Okay, the base is the one we really need to talk about. Okay, the base, everybody's listening because the base is not what you set it on. Okay, sometimes it is. But this three-dimensional figure I can set like this, but this is not the base. The base is how we name it. Okay, so we're going to talk about the name of three-dimensional figures. And when I look at this one, I would call this a triangular prism. So when I say triangular, that means the triangle is the base. Even if I set it like this, this is really the base. So I could flip it and set it like that. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Now, if it's a hexagonal prism, like this one, so those of you at home can see. Okay, this is a hexagonal prism. Okay, and that really just means the hexagon is the base. Even if it's sitting like this, the hexagon's the base. Okay, so we're going to talk about mainly prisms. Okay, prisms are have two parallel congruent bases, and the remaining faces are parallelograms, or a lot of rectangles. Okay, we are going to focus a lot on prisms. We're going to talk about triangular prisms and rectangular. Okay, those are kind of the main ones we're going to talk about. I want you to be able to identify a pyramid. We're not going to do a whole lot with pyramids, but here's a couple examples. Okay, these are what pyramids would look like, those of you at home. Okay, and a pyramid just means that one of the bases are a polygon and the rest are triangles. So this right here would be called a triangular pyramid because the base is a triangle. This would be called a square pyramid because the base is a square. Okay, so just being able to identify that this is a pyramid. Okay, where these are like this, these are prisms. Okay, the difference between a pyramid and a prism, pyramids come to a point, prisms do not. Okay. And then we're going to talk about cylinders and cones. Okay, cylinders and cones are very similar to prisms and pyramids, except for they're rounded. Okay, so a cylinder has bases that are circles. Cones have a base that's a circle, but it comes to a point. Okay, so part of your homework tonight is going to have to be classifying the figures, knowing what it is. So if we look at this first one, what would we call this? Any ideas? We've talked about cone. We've talked about cylinder. Those of you at home, cone, cylinder. We have pyramids. We have prisms. So what is that first one? What do you think? What would you call that? Any ideas? Does it look like a prism? Does it look like a pyramid? Yeah. Okay. It comes to a point, so it's a pyramid, but we need to be more specific. We have to look at the base. What shape is this base? What's that called? Really? Pentagon. So we would call it a pentagonal pyramid. So write that down. A pentagonal pyramid, or a pentagonal. Some people would say it that way. So look at the second one. What's that? Oh, let's start with this. Is it a prism, a pyramid, a cone, or a cylinder? Which one? Prism, pyramid, cone, or cylinder? I heard some of you whisper it. Really? It's a prism. And now we have to be more specific. What type of prism? And that's where we look at the base. What shape is this? If a figure has 6 sides, what do we call it, Samantha? Hexagonal prism. Okay, some of you might be worried that you don't know the names. You're like, ooh, I don't remember what a hexagon is, or a pentagon. Okay, penta has 5 sides. Hexagon has 6 sides. What do we call it if it has 8 sides? 8. Like a stop sign. What shape is that? What animal has 8 legs?
Spider.
Besides spider, starts with an O. So then 8 octagon, yeah. Okay. Okay, and this last one would be called just a cylinder. We don't call it a circular cylinder because all cylinders are circle. Okay, they have to be. Okay, questions there? Okay. So let's look at this one. What shape would this be? Okay, it says describe the bases and faces of the figure and then name it. Let's name it first. How would we name this shape? To me, it looks just like this. Looks exactly like this one. Okay, how would I name this? What do I call this? Samantha?
A triangular pyramid.
Not a pyramid.
Prism.
Prism, yeah. So if it has 2 bases and it doesn't come to a point, the pyramid has to come to a point at the top. This would be a prism. So we're going to name it a triangular prism. Okay, so write that down. Triangular prism. Okay, that makes the base really easy to name. If we call it a triangular prism, what does the base have to be? Remember, the base is not what it sits on, but it's how we name it. So if we called it a triangular prism, the base is what shape? Caleb? Triangle. The base is a triangle. Okay. So on this prism, this is my base right here. The triangle is the base. Okay, I would flip it and set it on the base like that. Okay, the faces, the other sides, what are all these sides? The base is a triangle. What are these sides? Really? Rectangles. In prisms, we have the base and all the faces are rectangles. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, this time we have the shape. How would I name this? You gotta flip the page. What is this called? Caleb? Cylinder. That's the name. And you won't have to worry about spelling because I made it multiple choice on homework. Okay? So we have a cylinder. What's the base? What shape is the base? Go ahead.
Circle.
Circle. Okay, then the face. The face is this surface. Okay, do we have a shape for that? Not really. Okay, so the face in this case, we're just going to call the curved surface. Okay, the face is really just this curved surface on it. Okay, so far so good? Questions up to that point? Okay, we've got one more like this. What would we call this? It's kind of like this one. But it has a different base. How many sides does this have? Tyler? 8. So what would we call it? Go ahead. Good. It's an octagonal prism. Okay, octagon because it has 8 sides. Sometimes people say it octagonal. You might hear that. Octagonal or octagonal. Okay, so what's the base? If we call it an octagonal prism, the base is what shape? Go ahead, Sam. An octagon. Okay, the base is an octagon. What are the faces? What would all these sides be? In a prism, we have our bases, and all of the faces are what? Go ahead, Caleb.
Rectangle.
Rectangle. Okay. Questions there? Okay, the rest of this, some of you are really good at seeing things three-dimensionally and some of you are not. Okay, and that's why some of you like geometry and some of you don't, right? Some of you have a hard time picturing it. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this. And it says draw the figure in the front, top, and side views. So, I got to look at which one I have there. TJ role playing. Maybe, yep, he did. TJ was playing with these this morning. He thinks they're guns. So he busted it apart because why not? Okay, I'll fix it. So this, I can get this attached. That's super nice of him to do that this morning. And I saw him over there, but I didn't think he was really taking them apart. Okay, this essentially is, everybody agree? Same shape? Okay, so it says draw the front, the top, and the side views. Okay, so the front, what we have to do is look at it straight on. And imagine if we just squished it together. Okay, so what would that look like if I were to draw only the front view? It kind of looks like stairs, right? Okay, so here's what I would need to draw. This is the front. It would be 3 blocks here, 2 blocks here, and then 1. That's the front view. So looking at it straight on would look like that. Everybody agree? Okay, then we've got the top view. Okay, so I'm going to rotate it for you guys because it helps us see it if we can actually see it in person. This would be the top. So if I were to squish it down flat, what would we have? Those of you at home, here's the top. It's kind of hard to see. What would I draw for the top view? Really? Just 3 squares, absolutely. Here's the top view. Okay, and then we've got the side view. Okay, so it doesn't really matter which side I look at, whether I turn it this way, and this is my side view, or this way. What does it look like? The side is, so yeah.
3 squares.
Yeah, just 3 squares, but this time they're up and down. So there's the side view. Okay, so it was front, top, side. Okay. All right, the next one, let's try this. Looks like, let me tell you. No. Oh, I had it right to start with. I just was looking at it the wrong way. Okay, this is the next shape. I gotta turn it in the right direction here. So, like this. Okay, that is that figure. Here's the front of it. So if I asked you to draw the front, I'm going to give you guys a chance to draw it. Those of you at home, here's the front. I feel like I should put paper behind it. It's easier to see. There's the front view. Is that easier for you guys to see? Put the paper behind it.
Does it smush like inward or
So imagine, okay, I'm holding it against myself in the front view. Imagine it's squished toward me. That's the front view. If I flattened it against me, that would be the front. Okay, so hopefully for the front, you drew this. Everybody agree? That's the front view. Okay, now the side, or let's go to the top first. This would be the top. This is the top view. So I took it from the front view and I rotated it to the top. Is it similar to the front view? Yeah. Okay, so the top view looks like this. Okay. All right, this was the front, so that means this is the side. This is the side view. If I was to squish it flat, what are we seeing? So what does a side view look like? Similar, right? Except for it's got 3 up and down. And then there's my side view. Are we good with that? How many of you are like, this is kind of hard? It's easier with this. Is it easier that I'm holding this in front of you? For some of you. Okay, some of you are like, this wouldn't be that bad for me. Some of us can't visualize it very well. Okay, here's the next one. See if you can draw it on your own, and then I'll show it to you. So try drawing the front, the top, and the side view. Okay, so this one wasn't too bad, I don't think. Okay, here's the front in case you need to see the actual item. So if I squish that, what I see is a tower of 2, 1, and then 3. There's our front view. Okay, what do you have for the top? If I flip this to the top, what does the top look like? Caleb?
3 outline squares.
Yeah, just a line of 3 squares. So there's the top. Okay, and then the side, it doesn't really matter if I go this way or this way. What do we see? Caleb?
3 squares stacked.
Yeah, 3 squares stacked up. So there's the side. Okay, one last one. Try drawing the front, the top, and the side view. Here's the visual aid if you need it. For those of you at home, there's the front. There's the top. And there's the side. Front. Top. Side. Okay, so the front, hopefully you drew a stack of 2, stack of 1, stack of 2, and a stack of 1. Okay, what does the top look like? What did you draw for the top, Kristen? 4 squares straight across. Okay, and then the side is just, whether you look at it this way, and you can see the 2 vertical, or this way, it would still be 2 vertical. So there's our side. Questions on that? Okay, so then I want everybody to go to Canvas.